link up and get things rolling on the Facebook end, and we will go started here in about 3 minutes. Awesome. Oh, I just exited that. I didn't mean to do that. Coming to you live from Conroe, Texas, it's Reality Rules with Andrew Gibson and producer Mama S. Tonight we are recapping episode 2 of Brains, Brawn, and Beauty. Who will still be here at the end of the night? We're joined by last week's panelists, Quentin and Dennis, as we break down what happened, who won, who went crazy, and at the end, who got voted out. Join with us tonight on Reality Rules. What's going on? Welcome to Reality Rules. We are here tonight recapping Survivor, not Big Brother, Brains, Bronze, Beauty. I'm getting confused with the B's and the B's. Susan should be joining us shortly. Hopefully she is covered in snow. She told me earlier when we talked she's gotten like 10 inches of snow today. So the blizzard, those of you that are affected by the blizzard and the storms, my deepest thoughts are with you. I hope everybody's staying safe and staying warm. Brenda messaged me earlier today and said that she said it's all your fault because the weatherman told me this morning that the storm was coming from Texas. So the fact that I'm covered in snow is your fault. I'm like, I didn't even get any snow. It is what it is. We've had an awesome night of reality television so far. I watched Survivor live, and then I fast-forwarded a fast version of American Idol. So before we get into the American Idol talk, vote now for Avalon. She's my favorite this season so far. She's rocking it on American Idol. You have an hour left to vote. Vote Avalon for American Idol's farewell season, and they're going to announce that tomorrow night. Also, for reality TV fans who've watched American Idol from the beginning, tomorrow night, the original American Idol, Kelly Clarkson is joining. She'll be on the panel and performing and judging and critiquing tomorrow night. So that's going to be kind of cool to see the first Idol be critiquing and be a judge on the farewell season. So I don't know if we got any Idol fans out there. I was an Idol fan when Idol first started, and I was like hardcore the first 6 or 7 seasons, and then I kind of dropped out. Like once Taylor Hicks won, I was done. And then I'm watching this one just because it's the last season, so I think it's going to be pretty cool. They had some duets last season. There's some awesome things going on in Idol, but you did not tune in tonight to see and to hear us talk about American Idol. So let's get down to it. Let's talk some Survivor. Dennis, Quentin, what did you think of tonight's episode?
Sorry, you said Storm. Are we talking about Sydney already?
Talking you know, she actually impressed me tonight. We're going to get into her. But Dennis, Cindy had some redemption for me tonight.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Cindy's game, like from the first episode to this episode, which was the course of like 3 days, it's really improved. She's kind of keeping it low-key, which I really enjoy seeing, so you don't know where she's going to go. But
right.
She is my fantasy pick, so I'm still rooting for her.
We're going to get into that a little more later. This is how I want to kind of break down tonight's episode. I've got some fun talking points that I want to talk about, just some comedic stuff that happened tonight that was entertaining and deserves some notation on the episode. And then I want to go tribe by tribe pre-challenge. And I want to talk about what happened pre-challenge with these tribes and just kind of what the I'm reading Jaden James's comment that I was going to get into, Sydney. What the tribes dynamics are before the challenge happens. Then I want to discuss the challenge, and then we're going to look at the losing team's tribe pre-tribal, and then actually what happens at tribal. So we've got a lot to cover. Let's get into it. Some fun talking points. Let's not talk about Ty winning the idol hunt. I just want to talk about Caleb and Ty. And the relationship that is being formed between these two. The new word, #Cuddalicious, was formed tonight. My wife told me we were going to get Cuddalicious tonight, so we can't make this episode go too long, so I can have some Cuddalicious time. What do we think about the Ty and Caleb situation that's happening here on the Beauty Tribe?
All right, I'll go first. I just liked how it was like one of those genuine relationships that like you've seen Richard and Rudy have it, you've seen JT and Steven have it. It's like when you look pre-game at like this group of 6 or whatever, however many people are on the tribe, you wouldn't match those two as like, okay, they're going to be a duo, they're going to be like really good pairs. But they are. It's like one of those bromances I didn't see coming pre-merge, and it's one of those bromances that I love right now. Just it's enjoyable. I love both of them. I never thought I would have said that about Caleb, but yeah, I think it's really fun.
And I think that relationship is spilling over to the whole tribe. Like, I think their joy and the two things that you're seeing between them two, I mean, this seems like a very cohesive unit right now and a very cohesive tribe. Dennis, what do you think about Caleb and Ty?
I find it really intriguing because they're both like polar opposites. We have a Southern boy, then we have the flaming homosexual. I just find I don't know what it is. It's just it's like it's not a good pair, but like it's just they like know each other like pre-game. It's like they're that close already within the course of 6 days. 6 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, and it's cool to see them watch. And, you know, I think Ty's almost done a good job of, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, of recovering from that idol fiasco that he had in the first tribal, or in the first episode. He was very, very cohesive. It was just all kind of working together, and they came in first in the challenge. And, again, we'll get to that a little bit later. Okay, second fun talk point. My highlight of the episode, my favorite part, is Alicia trying to light embryos on fire. When she said it was an embryo instead of an ember, I died. Like, literally laughed out loud. My neighbors were, like, throwing stuff, telling me to shut up. I mean, when she called that an embryo, I was done in all of that. So that was my second kind of fun talk highlight point of the night. And then we'll talk about Quentin's favorite, Debbie the crazy cat lady. Everybody's kind of getting it on. I love the getting on to that. Sorry, Jaden's going to say Andrew just said getting it on. I loved how Peter was calling her the crazy cat lady. Her screaming and yelling during the immunity challenge drove me up the wall. Like, I was like, what is she doing? Does she think she's helping? She really thinks that she's, like, helping and is this awesome cheerleader, and that her yelling is going to make sure that the brains don't come in last. The lady is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And we're going to talk about the effect that has on the game here in a little bit. But first, let's jump into each tribe and talk about what their dynamics are right now. Again, this is all pre-challenge, so let's not talk about anything that happened post who loses and going on. But let's start with the Beauty Tribe. We talked a little bit earlier about how Caleb and Ty have this great relationship, and it's forming, and it's spilling over to the other people. And Beauty didn't get a whole lot of airtime tonight except for the great idol hunt by Ty. Walk me through, what are our thoughts about Ty finding this idol, and what are our thoughts about how CBS is going and Survivor is going through with the idol process this year? It's a multi-step process now to find and get this idol, and it almost looks like impossible or very, very difficult. What are y'all's thoughts on Ty continuing to find the idol and getting in the right direction of finding the idol?
I like that they made it more complicated. It's just, I feel like they did that in the original seasons. The first few times they had the idol, you had to like dig up half the island. You had to go deep, deep into like the roots of all the soil and stuff to find the idol in Panama, and then you had to go like dig up the entire like length of the beach in Cook Island. So like they kind of like brought that kind of sense back, where you have to go through all this work to find the idol, because it is a powerful thing. Like it can change the game potentially if you play it right. So I think you need to do a lot of work to earn it. And I feel like if
But
last
this
season,
isn't just work. This is almost like a scavenger hunt.
yeah, I do agree. Yeah, it is kind of irritating. Maybe if like when he saw the clue in the tree, it said dig under the roots. Maybe if he had to dig like really, really deep, maybe that would have been better than like, okay, now climb up this gigantic tree. Like he's like going across the island. That's kind of annoying. I kind of liked what they did last time with the challenges. I thought that was more entertaining. I don't think this is that enjoyable to watch.
But I mean, he's going. I mean, he's bleeding. I mean, this dude is like really hurting himself to go for this idol. Dennis, what are your thoughts on this?
I have a huge amount of respect for Ty now because, like, with the feet bleeding and everything, that just shows how much dedication he has to get the idol. Because, like, most people, would usually just give up. They'd be like, okay, we'll look later. He kept looking until he got the clue, and he didn't get it. Did he get it?
He has not gotten. As far as I'm aware, he did not actually get the idol in his hands yet.
I think what he might try to do is he might try to, like, have Caleb go get it. That's what my prediction.
So that brings up my question for you here. Okay, so we say, yeah, it shows his dedication because he is spending so much time and so much effort and going through the pain and trying to get this idol. But this brings up, is that a smart move? Because he's spending so much time on this idol, is he building the relationship still, or is he showing this isolation because there is the idol hunt? We've seen people so many times hunt for this idol and hunt for this idol and hunt for this idol, and they found it, but by that time their damage is done. And they basically have one lifeline, and then they're done. I mean, is it smart to spend so much time and effort on the idol when you're not spending as much time and effort around camp, doing your responsibilities, and even building the relationships that are needed in this game?
The answer is no. But I feel like Ty isn't doing that. I feel like Ty is communicating with people. He has built relationships. A lot of people find him adorable. And maybe that's why he hasn't found the idol yet. It showed him climbing up the tree, but it didn't show him getting it because it's probably going to take him a while because he can't constantly keep going there. He has to keep building relationships. He can't always go there or else they're eventually going to find out where it is. So I feel like he's doing a good job blending in. And like the Beauty Tribe this episode was the Ty show. Like I don't think anyone else really had confessionals except for maybe Caleb and stuff.
Caleb and Ty, it was completely them. Beauty got very little airtime.
Yeah, I was upset.
I think that let's see. I think Ty has built like such strong relationships, regardless of how, like, he got caught the first episode. I think his relationships with the other tribe members are so strong. Like, if that was me, for instance, I would not let him just go off by himself, to go get water. But they just let him off because they trust him. So that just shows, that he has some kind of relationships.
So who do we still think is going to be this tribe's first boot?
I say Nick.
I never said it was Ty. I like Ty.
No,
I always thought
back and forth.
I thought it was Nick or Ty. I mean, Nick or Caleb. I thought it was Caleb, but now I'm leaning more towards Nick because they're showing the relationship with Caleb and Ty.
I think it's Nick for sure.
All right, we've got a question for us from Jaden. Who have you found the most surprising in the first two episodes in contrast to your first pre-game analysis?
Caleb.
I'm sorry, Jaden said this is for like at the end of the episode, but I just saw it and I read it and just read that. Caleb, I mean, yeah, I agree. Caleb, I think, is playing good social game. I think he's playing good things here. Again, though, we haven't really gotten to see them play because they haven't had to make any real decisions. They haven't had to do those kind of things. So we still haven't seen Caleb be strategic and be in that aspect. But I do think he's building the right relationships. He's building those things. But then again, when you look to Caleb and Big Brother, Caleb never had that. He was always in the know. He was with people. He had those relationships. He had those friendships. It wasn't until he had to start making game decisions that we thought the kid was stupid. So we haven't seen Caleb play those aspects and those things yet. My answer to that is going to be, when they'll disagree with this, and we'll get into this in the next Tribe Dynamics, Joe. I was not impressed with Joe tonight. Let's get into that. Let's go to Brains, the Brain Tribe here. We had a Brain shutdown today. First off, how in the world do you win such a great reward and have it wasted within 2 days. Their kerosene is gone. Their matches are worthless. I mean, they got the first place reward, the best reward in the first challenge, and it's done. Their fire-making ability, their fire-making things are gone. First off, I always feel in Survivor, once you get that fire going, you should never let it go out. Like, unless the rain just pours down on you and extinguishes your flame, your first priority always needs to be to keep that blaze going as high as you can. What went wrong? What do we think is the problem with these brainiacs getting rid of their fire? Don't all speak at once.
Des can go. I don't really have much of an opinion on that.
I mean, I don't really know. It's just like they're not careless, but like how they handled the situation, like they kind of just like blamed it all on Liz, kind of, but then half of them blamed it on Joe, which I didn't really understand because it was really Joe who did it because he was in charge of the fire and shit.
It was Joe.
Yeah.
And he brings up this point in these things several smarts, which we talk about this brains tribe, and they're supposed to be so smart, and Joe says it several times. Book smarts and game smarts and street smarts and survival skill smarts are two completely different things. And yes, this tribe is smarter than anybody and could beat any of us on Jeopardy, but are they not having the smarts and the skills that are required to almost survive on a daily basis out here and into this planet? So we see Joe, and we see him basically call Liz out. I'm still Team Liz. I'm still thinking she's going to last. I'm still thinking she's in there. I loved watching her tonight. And we see him start to call her out. We also see Joe and Deb, which we all expected, start to kind of build their bond, start to build their relationship, start to say, we're the oldest, we're going to need to go in here. But what I thought was the most interesting with the Debbie situation was Peter say, this woman's crazy, she's stupid, and she's who I want to keep around. I almost want to say, Jaden, in answer to your question as to who I think's better, I think Peter is smarter when it comes to gameplay than I gave him credit for last week. What is y'all's thoughts on that with Peter? I mean, Peter didn't get a whole lot of airtime, but he did get it in the regards to Deb and in the regards.
I think they're blowing him up. Do you feel better or worse about Liz than you did last episode?
I feel the exact same.
What? Oh man, I was like so pumped for this. I was like, oh, he's gonna feel so bad because Liz is totally going home soon. But no. Okay. Here's the way I like. I
think she's going home. Just because Joe and Deb, you're giving them too much credit. They're not the backbone of this tribe. Whoever Peter and Neil want to go home is who's going to go home.
I think I'm giving Peter too much credit because I think if they go to tribal, Peter's rallying up Joe and Debbie, and he's going to take out one of the other females, Aubrey or Liz, because they're not as strong as Neil.
They'll take out Liz first, for sure.
I think Liz could be the next dude.
I mean, I'm not even just saying that either, just to piss off Andrew Gibson. Because it looks like Debbie and Joe are together, and then it seems more as if, like, Peter and Aubrey are together. So if those four, kind of get together, they could easily pick off Neil and Liz.
I don't see the Peter-Aubrey bond as much as everybody.
I see it a little bit, but with Peter with Debbie, he wants to carry, Debbie around. That could either be really good or flop right in his face, because then they're going to realize, okay, it could be 3-on-3. So, I don't know.
This tribe going to tribal is going to be the most interesting and the one that I'm probably the most excited about.
When they were doing the immunity challenge, I was rooting so hard for them to lose the challenge because I was like, this is going to be good. Liz is going to go home. They're building it up. But it's going to happen in a few episodes.
It did not disappoint. The tribal and the post challenge was still really, really.
I thought it was going to be a boring tribal, but no, they proved me wrong.
Oh my gosh, we're going to get into that. We're going to get there, and then we go into the bronze pre-tribe dynamics and pre-tribe thing. And I want to give shout out and I want to give credit to Alicia here. That girl said she was going to make fire, and she sat there for 5 hours. And she made fire, and she's here to prove a point. Alicia, for me, this episode played so much better than episode 1. I don't ever think she was really given the chance episode 1. When we get to what kind of happened after the challenge and we see this start to happen, what Alicia did today, 1, by making the fire, and 2, by what she did at Tribal Council, proved to me that Alicia is a force to be reckoned with in this game.
Honestly. like I was astounded when I was first like pregame. I was like looking at the contestants and I was thinking, Alicia's going to be one of those females that are going to get 1 or 2 confessionals during the season. They're going to be premiers. They're not going to do anything fun. But she is. I think she might be my favorite person in this entire cast so far. I absolutely love her. She's snarky, she's hilarious, and she's smart. She really is fighting hard. She's on the outs, and she made the fire, which that is hard to do.
Yeah, that fire, and she committed to it, and that's what I loved. You see so many people that quit with the fire.
Yeah. Everyone's sleeping, but she stuck to it, and she made the fire, and that was, yeah, I love Alicia.
All right, let's get into the challenge itself. To me, the challenge did not seem so complicated. Dennis, what were your thoughts about tonight's immunity challenge?
Oh, well, I know one thing is my fat ass couldn't fucking run that whole thing, so I give them all 17 props. Well, not all 17. How many? 15? 15 of them played. I feel like it could have been more complex. It seemed like really simple, just like run here, go through this little obstacle, go underneath one little log. But all the tribes, even the Bronze, they all worked together well because they were all neck and neck and neck at the end. So I was very impressed with all the tribes.
Here's my thing. If you're going to do a brains versus bronze versus beauty competition, you cannot do a challenge ever that is solely focused on one of those categories. You need to implement a puzzle or some sort into that issue also, where you're not... This challenge was built for the bronze. It's funny that they lost, but this challenge was built for the beauty and the brawn team. The brain team, everybody knew they were going to struggle with the log. There's not you got Joe, who's one of the oldest people, second oldest person ever to play Survivor. You've got Peter, who, yes, he's fit, but they're still old. They can't do what they could at one time. And so I feel that every physical challenge needs to have some sort of mental aspect to it also. And that's what I didn't like. Quentin, any thoughts about the challenge itself?
I went to go get food when they were explaining the challenge. So you guys are like, oh, it was so simple. I was watching it. I thought they were just gonna have to go in a straight line, do an obstacle course with the log. But then they had to go into then they turned a corner and they were in the water. And I was like, what is this challenge? It's so confusing. And then they went through all this wires and then they started making a cannon out of the balls that they got. I don't know where they got the balls from. I was so tripped out. But it was kind of simple, I guess, but I was confused at what was going on the whole time. But all I knew was the entire time Brain was in last, and I was like, yes, let's go home. And then, at the end, they caught up, and I was like, no! I was so pumped up. I totally thought this was Brain's time to lose, and I thought Liz was destined to go. I was so pumped.
It's not happening. Shut up. But the Beauty Tribe has proven that they are not smart, because this is the second week in a row that they've had a significant lead, and have blown it for some reason or another. Today they just got their yarn, their string, whatever it was, tangled up, and they weren't able to pull anything out of it. The Brain Tribe I think they're so focused on the game and so focused on the challenge, and they're not stepping back and looking, and that's going to hurt them eventually if they don't slow down a little bit. I know it's a speed challenge, but you have to make sure you've walked and talked and thought everything through. And then, of course, we see, flipping over to my notes, Beauty comes in first, Brain comes in second, and Brawn comes in third. And they win the immunity, and they win the big fishing kit, and then the medium fishing kit. How important and how pivotal on this game is a fishing kit for these tribes? How does that help them even more moving forward in this game? Is that as important as the immunity, or is that just icing on the cake?
For sure it's icing on the cake, because now they can get a different source of food, because they haven't been able to get fish at this point, but now they're having a source of protein. So they can get stronger. So I think that's a big, big plus.
So Ty can now suck some more fish heads and eat some more fish eyeballs.
I guess.
I had the best fishing kit ever. Oh man, it was beautiful.
It was. So we get back to the tribal's over. We don't see anything else from Brain or Beauty the rest of the night. So that's done. We're done talking about Brain and Beauty. We get back, and we have Brawn. Before we do what happened, guys, what is it going to take for this Brawn tribe to come back? What is it going to take for this Brawn tribe to not continue to go to tribal? I'm not talking about the vote. I'm not talking about the strategy. Is this Brawn tribe going to be just picked off one by one by one by one, or what do they need to do to get back in this game?
I'll tell you what needs to happen. They need a tribe swap.
Yes.
What's the problem? I mean, this challenge was made for them. Why are they struggling so much? Is it because, as we said, Beauty has this cohesiveness, Brain has a little bit of cohesiveness? Are they just not gelling, or are they just not getting it? Or why are we not seeing the Braun tribe beast this challenge? This was built for them.
Beauty's by far more superior than like the other two tribes. So I don't see Beauty going until any tribe swap anytime soon. So it's kind of down like 50-50 Brains versus Bronze or whatever. And at this point, Bronze is just slowly getting like this mentality in their head going, we can't win. We're slowly going to lose. Kind of like what happens to every losing tribe in these 3 tribe formats. In their mind, they're thinking, we can't beat these 2 tribes. We're never going to win. And they're going to definitely like spiral downwards until merge or tribe swap. So I don't know. Maybe they just need to become more united. I don't know. Like they found in the next time on Survivor, they're like looking at the clue together. So maybe that'll bond them together.
Yeah,
I
and
doubt.
Then they were throwing people down
Yeah,
trying to
they're
get
throwing
to
each
it.
other down. So hey, who knows? But
What's your thoughts, Dennis? What do they need to do to get back in this game?
2 things. One could be get out Kyle, and then there'll be perfect smooth sailing, or try.
How would they get out Kyle?
How would they get out Kyle?
I'm talking about the Bronze tribe.
Yeah, Kyle. What's it called?
Kyle's-
The bounty hunter guy.
Jason.
Jason. Wait, yeah. Okay, sorry. I have his name as Kyle on my thing.
his first name, his last name's Jason.
Gotcha. Yeah, because right now it's Scott and Jason versus, Sydney and Alicia. So they need a tribe swapper just to get Jason out of the whole game because it's the cohesiveness. They have none of it. It's 2 versus 2.
But getting rid of Kyle wouldn't be wrong at this point. Like they already lost Darnell and Jenny, and they're pretty good at comps. Losing Kyle, like all they would have left is Scott, and then the 2 weaker players. So I feel like getting rid of Kyle would just it would make them more united at a tribe swap, which would be great. But it would just I don't think they would win a challenge with Kyle then. Like those 3 wouldn't be able to do it.
I don't know. I think they could. I think Cindy and Alicia could still win. I think they're very, very helpful, and I think Scott's very, very big in that. So I mean, I don't think Jason's like the physical threat on their team. Kyle, Jason is the physical threat that's keeping them through. Okay, let's get to it. They get back, and Alicia is done. Like in her head, if she does not find this hidden immunity idol, she's gone. And so she is. She's mad dash looking for this hidden immunity idol. She is spending all of her time. She knows she can't come back from this right now, and she's like, okay, it's idol or bust. I'm completely 100% okay with that. What I am not okay with is them saying, why is she looking for the idol? This is stupid. She's killing herself. She's hurting herself. Guys, you have done nothing to make her feel like she's not going home. So her only option is to find this idol, and then they criticize her for finding it when all they're doing is sleeping on the beach. I mean, what else? What option does she have besides look for the idol?
That alliance of 4, they think that they're so tight, and they don't even remotely even talk to Alicia like she has an ounce of none of them have an ounce of respect for her. They mistreat her very poorly, which I find that makes me want to root for her even more. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
they're building a beautiful underdog story for Alicia.
Yeah,
I think she's
sure.
their demise. Each and every single one of them is going to go home because of her, or you can hope at least.
That'd be awesome.
And then we get to Jenny.
Oh, Jenny. Oh,
Jenny. Okay, so first off, I have no problem with what Jenny does pre-tribal council.
Nope. None.
No problem.
That's pretty great.
She comes up with this idea, very strategic, very thought out. At merge, they're going to go for these guys. We need to look weaker for merge. We're already weak. We look blindsided, so let's just look weak. Let's stick with the girls, and let's make this idea. She convinces Cindy just like that, and then she presents it to Alicia, who's obviously going to go for it. She has no other option at this point, and she's in. And Jenny's great. I loved it. I said, okay, great, let's get rid of Jason. Let's get rid of Kyle. Let's move forward. I think that's a great move because whatever you're doing is not working, so this is a way to say let's mix it up and see what else is going to happen. what goes wrong at that point? Not to tribal yet. Why do we think she starts to question that decision and start to backtrack on that?
The problem is she she slept on the idea. She's like, okay, we locked this down. She already got the other two roles involved. They were locked. They got this thing going, and then she just started thinking emotionally. She started thinking like, okay, what's Scott gonna do? How is this gonna backfire? She started thinking of what could go wrong with the plan instead of thinking what could go right. And I felt like because of that, she kind of started backpedaling. And if you do that on Survivor, it's definitely gonna hurt you because Sydney already knows that you came up with this plan. She knows what you're capable of, and now you're kind of like, okay, no, let's not do this yet. Like, that would totally make me start questioning her, like what Sydney did.
Very wishy-washy.
If you told me at the start of the game that Sydney was going to be the most rational person on Braun, I would have been like, no way. But Storm's doing great.
And she was. It was a complete opposite. This week it was Cindy open mouth, insert foot. When last week it was just let it flow. And she totally had that open mouth, insert foot. But I do agree that she overanalyzed things and she said, okay, what's Scott? But I still don't think she overanalyzed it enough. Because what option does Scott have at that point, right? Like, yeah, you're going to piss him off at first, but then he's a rational guy, and he's going to be like, okay, now I'm sitting here by myself. I still need Jenny. I still need Cindy. So she overthought it, but she still didn't complete that training cycle of thought. Dennis, what did you think about her choosing not to say anything or choosing and being so wishy-washy?
I feel like at that moment, that was probably the best thing she could have done because they thought they were set with a majority 3 versus 2. I feel like if it, like, I don't know how to say this, like, I think it would have hurt Sydney's game if she went to tell Jason and Scott. I feel as if it would.
On board.
I know, but if she went to them saying Jenny's idea,
right.
I feel like that would have hurt her game because then that would have been like. Scott and Jason were like bitching at Jenny, and then that would show that Alicia and Jenny that Sydney's not trustworthy. So they all try to like get up on her. Mm-hmm. So I think she did the best that she could have done for that situation.
I agree. I have no problem with anything that Cindy did. And like I said, up to Tribal Council, I don't even have a problem really with Jenny saying, I changed my mind, Cindy, let's just go back and let's just vote Alicia. Like, I have no problem with that. It happens. We're there. My problem is when we get to Tribal Council and she admits all of it. Like Alicia doesn't prod her. Cindy doesn't prod her. Jeff asks a simple question, and Jenny's just like, yeah, I was thinking about some other options. What? Like, even if you're going to go through with the vote on Jason, Kyle, whatever it is. Even if you're going to go through with the vote on this person, why are you even going to mention any? That's not a blind side. You just took the blind out of side and like have made this complete situation. What is Jenny thinking when she opens her mouth?
I think it's like we said the first episode. It's this new idea of the new Survivor where you just tell it. You're just open with everybody. You want to make like the best kind of like you want to make the best airtime. Like Max made like comments like that at Tribal. Like a lot of people are getting used to making these comments at Tribal or whatever. However, I think this time around it shows you how it could also backfire. Yes, it was great TV for you to say something like that, but at the end of the result, it ended up biting you in the butt and you went home. Like saying stuff like that at Tribal definitely would hurt you. Like when Varner the first episode of Cambodia, he was like, we're doing the vote, right? He's like called everyone out or whatever, and he's like, this is my second time, not going to waste it. That's great TV, but if the people around you read that the wrong way, they can just flip the script on you. Like being open like that is great, but it can also hurt you. And we finally saw the problems with this new game of Survivor.
And I think, Quentin, everything you're saying is correct, but again, Jenny opens her mouth, says what she says. Yes, you see Scott and Jason kind of like, but I don't think that's where she goes wrong. I still think she goes wrong when Alicia catches on to what she's doing. Yeah. And Alicia says, okay, she's obviously going back to you guys. No, this is what she did. And I think Alicia in that Tribal is who put the nail in Jenny's coffin.
Oh, yeah. Alicia was great. I think she just made the one comment and everyone was like, oh, why would she say that? Like, and then Alicia was like, wait a second, so you're not with me? Okay, let me clear everything up. And that's when, like, everything started going. It was honestly, like, I loved it. It was
Okay,
perfect.
so Dennis, I want to go to you on this.
Mm-hmm. I don't agree.
Jenny sees the hammer coming down, and she stops everything she's doing and stands up on her pedestal. What is she doing? What is the point? I mean, I think like she's about to go get an idol she's found out of her bag or something she's going to fake off as some idol. Why does she what's the point in that? What point was she trying to make by standing up and saying, "Guys, we're going to go with the original plan"? Like, what was the point of that? Was it just show? Was it her sympathy of getting down on her knees? Like, what was the point of Jenny getting up?
I think she's trying to like scrape to get to the top. Like, you know, she wanted to save her ass because she screwed up from everything she said at that tribal, and then also like a combination of good TV because she knew she was going out. So no one's ever done that at a tribal. So I guess that was her short minutes of fame. But when she got up, I was like, she's grabbing her torch. She's quitting, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's the craziest thing. And Jeff's like, I don't think I've ever seen this happen in a tribal council. And you know, last season I thought was some of the best tribal councils that had ever happened in Survivor last season. Like last season was some of the greatest tribal councils we've ever seen. And I'm like, I don't think this is going to be topped. This season we have the chance to see even better tribal councils than we saw last year. And it's just already building up for what I think is going to be an incredible season. Okay, so Jenny does that. She stands up, she makes this plea, she makes this coy, and the votes still come down 3 for Jenny and 2 for Alicia. And Jenny goes, what do y'all think this episode, where did Jenny go wrong? If you were Jenny, what would you have done differently to make sure that doesn't happen?
I got you. You guys both said that it was Alicia that put the nail in Jenny's coffin. No, it was Jenny who did it to herself. When she was calling out Alicia, trying to blame it on Alicia for starting the Girls Alliance, her facial expressions, like, she didn't even try to, like, you know, be like, let's just use, like, Vanessa Russo. Vanessa was, like, a great, you know, she was able to play people.
The best.
And you just, like, threw her hands in her face, like, whining, I guess. Like, you need to make, like, if you're going to say something, make it feel real. Yeah. If you, like, she did that to herself. That's all I got to say. She fucked up.
Okay, so go ahead, Quentin, go ahead.
I was just going to agree with him. I was like, yeah, no, to be fair, I do agree that it was Jenny that put the nail in her coffin. She was the one that screwed herself over. Everything she did, that tribal, was just, like, it just was not the right move every single time. At first, she just wanted to make good TV, then she realized she was in a hole, and then she just tried to bury out. But it was kind of like when you're in, like, an avalanche or whatever, and you're starting to dig. I don't think she realized that she was digging further down, and not, like, she thought she was digging her way back up, but she was just going further and further down the hole. And, yeah, she just screwed herself badly that time. It was rough.
So I'm pretty sure at this point, yes, Jenny's going. My question is, why, for the second week in a row, do Jason and Scott split?
I don't think that was intentional. I think Scott really likes, like, I think they proved to you on the show that Scott and Jenny must have had some kind of bond. Like, Jenny said, oh, I want to go against the boys, but I don't want to hurt Scott let's vote for Kyle. And then that's why she backtracked, because she realized that Scott would be hurt from this. I feel like they didn't show up. I feel like Scott and Jenny had a really close friendship, and the Jenny wasn't supposed to get a single vote that tribal, from my belief. I thought they were going to vote for Alicia. Alicia was going to vote for Kyle. And then as soon as this whole thing blew up in their face, everyone was like on the whim. They kind of nodded and went, okay, yeah. You're going to vote for Jenny? Okay, let's vote for Jenny. And Scott's like, guys, let's just vote for Alicia. Let's figure this out later. I don't think they intentionally split the votes. I just think Scott stuck to his good friend Jenny, and Kyle just flipped the script back on her.
I just think it's funny that 2 weeks in a row now, who's supposed to be the closest duo have not voted together yet.
That's true. That's pretty funny.
And that's what's entertaining. And at this point in the game, it's not pivotal. But if they don't get that crap together later, one vote like that and one screwy, stray vote can be the difference in a tribal council. Okay, we got a couple questions from listeners. First question for the panel. If you could vote the most annoying person out of the game right now, who would it be? Deb. I know everybody disagrees, but Deb.
No.
I was going to say Liz as a joke. I'm just kidding. I actually like Liz. She's just gonna be voted out soon. Who would be the most annoying? I guess maybe Nick or Caleb, but I don't really know if I'd vote them on. I don't know.
This is really gonna hurt you, Andrew Gibson, but it's really, I think Liz is the most annoying so far.
How is she annoying?
Because like her little pity, like when she was crying on the beach, because
How is that any different than Aubrey last week?
Aubrey is great. Don't call out my girl.
But that's the same thing. Like, okay, if you're gonna say throwing a pity party and being all of this is annoying, then you have to say Aubrey's annoying too.
No, I don't have to say that.
There's no logic behind what you're saying.
Okay, I'll show you some logic. Okay, so Aubrey was mentally distressed, and she was all fucked up
Because of the heat.
Of the heat. Okay, so that was that wasn't like man versus man. That was like man versus environment. Liz, on the other hand, it was like man versus man. She could have
No, it
Yes.
was fire.
Yes.
Liz said it was because she did not have fire and could not boil her water.
Yeah. She added in the Joe situation, and she could have
because Joe can't give her fire.
Okay, all right.
The
Okay.
pity party is the pity party, and there's no annoyance about it. Shit happens. I disagree.
All right, I guess then Aubrey's annoying too. Fine. Let you
Liz
have that.
is not annoying. Liz is beautiful television, and she's gonna win this game.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
next question from the panel. And Jorge, yes, Sydney voted out Jenny. The votes were Alicia, Sydney, Cindy, and Kyle were the 3 votes for Jenny, and it was Scott and Jenny that were the 2 votes for Alicia. So yes, those were how it went down. Another question he said, would you have done the same move as Jason when he pointed to Jenny during Tribal, telling Alicia and Scott to vote for her? Was this smart for him to do that as a communication standpoint, or was that too impulsive?
No, he is crazy because everyone can see what he's doing. It shows the clear alliances that he's like working with Scott and Sydney.
Yeah, everybody can see what he's doing. But so what?
I know, but
I thought it made
Go ahead.
because it clearly like showing them like, guys, like we need to get rid of her. Like I think it was like just okay, this is what the new plan is. It kind of like if you just kind of like point with your eyes, you kind of like wink or something, like that could just like imply something, or you just or like
Right.
it's like confusing communication. Kyle saw what was going on, and he said when he realized that Jenny was targeting him, he goes, all right, let's take her out, and he pointed. He said, guys, let's do this, and he made the move. I thought it made the most sense. And didn't he do it when she was standing up too?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
she can. I remember him doing that. So she didn't see it. She was like standing up, looking at Jeff, making some weird carnival show. So like I thought it was the perfect time to do it. It was the perfect time. So everyone was kind of like looking in that direction. He points. I thought it made the target obvious. And I thought it made sense.
Because again, you don't want confusion going into the vote. You need something specific. You need something sure, because you don't want to be that one vote that splits off and everything goes wrong. Because if you're gonna go Jenny, you don't want to put votes on Jenny and her not go home. Because then you're
for sure, yeah,
creating shitstorm for next week.
I
And
think
then go ahead.
That's gonna make it up to Jason though, like how he silently little points at people. Because if some bronze will make at least 2 bronze will make the merge. If whoever's left, if Jason's still in there, they're gonna be like, Jason's more of like a verbal communicator, like during Tribal, so he'll call out your alliances. That could catch up to him potentially.
Oh, absolutely.
That's where I'm caught off.
Jason does not make jury.
No,
I don't
No.
see it.
he does. Oh, he totally makes jury.
no, not as
He's getting
James.
I think he's getting like a first merge edit. Like he's gonna be like the first guy vote off of the merge.
Okay, but I don't think your whole merge makes jury.
No.
Well, that's the case, then yeah, I guess not. He'd be right before jury. I think he's first merge.
We'll see. I do think he'll make merge. I don't think Jason and Scott are going anywhere. I think that duo is going to stay together. They're going to vote together, and unless they do some crazy tie, I don't think that that's going to happen. Okay, and then, of course, the last question, which would have been my question anyways, who's the next to go? Go ahead.
Want to do it or want me to do it?
Say-
I'll be happy to say mine. Elizabeth Liz is third boot of Survivor 32. Bye.
Bye. No, it's Deb.
Goodbye.
What?
No.
Deb?
No.
Episode. After Peter said that he wants to use Deb, you still think Deb's going home?
He said that before she screamed at everybody during the challenge for 30 minutes. The woman is crazy. The woman has problems, and there's no way they keep her in this game. She is gone.
Yes, sir. He's so stag, man. If they lose, Liz is going. If Brian loses again, it's going to be Sydney or Alicia because the duo of the dudes. And then Beauty's not going to go home. I mean, Beauty's not going to Tribal because they're too strong. So it's one of those three. It's going to be a girl.
Jaden James, who I trust his Survivor knowledge. If you ever have a conversation with this man about Survivor, he's a genius. Love you, Jaden. He says Joe.
I agree.
Okay, to be fair,
You could agree.
no, Jaden's right. Debbie's not going home, but if she is, like, if they are targeting her group, it's going to be Joe because it's kind of confusing. It doesn't say Peter wants to keep Joe and Debbie. He just says he wants to keep Debbie. Maybe in his mind, if he has Aubrey locked up, then he'll take out Joe first, so she's with him. I do see Joe. It's Joe or Liz on the Brains tribe. Yeah, JoJo is possible.
So you're telling me Debbie's going to be the Abby Maria of the season?
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
No, I'm saying Alicia's going to be the Abby Maria of the season. But
No, because you're saying the GOAT. Alicia made game moves tonight. Abby Maria called people out for nothing strategically. She just called them out. Alicia called people out when it made sense.
Abby was like making like crazy erotic game moves or whatever. Like she's kind of like, I don't know, maybe because they're both blonde and they're both like snarky and awesome. Maybe that's why I consider her Alicia. I consider Debbie to be kind of like who she compared herself with, like Coach, like with his crazy stories, his weird like jobs.
Deb is dead weight. Abby Maria was dead weight, and that's why they are the same person.
No, they're not the same person. Actually, I do love them both, so maybe they are.
And that doesn't surprise me because you're also dead weight. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So it's kind of split. So we think if Brain Tribes goes to Tribal, nobody really knows what's going to happen. It could be one of them.
Joe.
It could be Joe. It could be Deb, or it could be
Liz.
Not Deb.
Liz. If Braun goes to Tribal again, I think at this point, I do not see Cindy sticking with the two guys. I think you're going to come to a tie. I really do. I think you might come to a forced rock tie.
Mm-mm.
No.
So you think
No.
if they lose 3 in a row, Cindy is not stupid enough to say, I'm going to vote out the only person that will vote with me next week.
Yeah, but you're not going to force a tie for somebody that you're not even that close with. Like, was Cindy super tight with Alicia?
But that's not the point.
I don't know.
The point isn't that I'm going to force a tie because I'm not close with her. The point is, if I don't force a tie and keep Alicia and we lose 4 in a row, I'm gone, and there's nothing I can do about it.
But if the tribe's mindset is Alicia is the weakest in challenges, maybe in her mind she goes, okay, if we get rid of Alicia, then all we have to do is win one more challenge as a tribe swap at the final 14, like it normally is. So, like, I don't know. I don't see her forcing a tie. That seems too crazy and erratic. And, like, there's only been 2 rock draws in 31 seasons, so I doubt there's going to be one pre-merge.
She will definitely try to make a move against the guys.
Oh, definitely. I just don't think she's going to do it until tribe swap.
If they lose 4 in a row, she's gone.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
What option does she? The boys are not voting each other. Scott's not voting Jason. Jason's not voting Scott.
Well, they can't fucking vote together to begin with, so how do you know they won't just fucking vote for each other?
They're not. I don't see I don't see a scenario with it.
We have no proof that they'll even vote together, so you never know.
You never know. You never know. We're digressing, so we are in agreements that Braun would be a tribal, Bride would be crazy. It's hard. This season, it's hard to predict, and that's what we want. We want to watch a season where you don't know what's going to happen next week.
I want Bride so badly. Like, how great is that tribal going to be? Like, it could be like an obvious boot like Debbie or Joe, but it's not. It's going to be like something crazy going to happen. Even if it is Joe or Debbie, it's going to go down crazy. I'm so pumped.
I
you could
agree,
go to
but,
trial.
but this season, like I said, you don't know what's going to happen next week. I cannot sit to you right here and tell you this person's going to go next week, and it could go in a million different situations in a million different formats, and I think it's going to be interesting. Jaden said the F-bombs are being dropped. This is my kind of conversation. Absolutely. Reality rules. All things are off bets. All things are off limits. Any final thoughts, guys, tonight on tonight's episode?
Okay, to be fair, when I saw that Dennis was on the call, I was like, for some reason, I read the two N's as two B's, and I thought Debbie was on the call, and I was like, he got Debbie to come on. I was like so pumped. I was like, I'm gonna meet Debbie. I was like fangirling for a second, and then I saw Dennis. I was like, oh.
Oh, so you didn't want to talk to me.
So you were a disappointment, Dennis.
Oh, I guess I'm a disappointment. Okay.
I wanted Debbie instead of Andrew, but
Hey, the show doesn't happen if I don't create it.
That's true. Let's get Debbie on next time.
We'll try. We'll see what we can do. Send out some tweets for me, Quentin.
I'm friends with her on Facebook. I'll message her.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, Jaden. He's logging off. We're wrapping it up anyway. Dennis, any final thoughts on tonight's episode?
Tonight's episode was, I feel like the first episode was better, but
I agree.
There's not much to say. You didn't really get to see much of anything besides Bronze, so I mean, you can't really make too many guesses of what's going to happen or anything. So I think they need to add like more dynamics or more airtime between all the tribes.
I agree, but in an hour, there's only so much you can do.
I thought Brain did pretty well for how much time they can give. I thought Brain, we got a bit of a story. Beauty, we got nothing, which is a shame because that's my favorite tribe.
Yeah. So, all right, awesome. So next week, you never know what's going to happen. Let me give you some announcements of what's coming up this Sunday. We will be back with our org recap episode. Last week's we covered org awards. It's on our YouTube channel if you want to go check that out. This week, we're going to have some first-time winners on. We're going to be discussing some first-time winners. I'm going to break down and talk about the newest cast of Big Bro Her Arkansas. I'm calling it Battle of the Productions. It's going to be an insane game. It's Klein's game. Cristobal, Austin, and Patrick Hott are also on production there. The cast was released 2 days ago. It's going to be a great game. We're going to look at that a little bit and just some predictions on that aspect. And we'll be doing that on Sunday night at 11-ish. I'll keep you updated on Facebook. The Oscars are Sunday night, so I have to watch the Oscars before anything else comes on. And then we will be back here next Wednesday, same time, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 Central, to break down the newest episode of Survivor. And we will see you then. If you need anything or would like to be on a panel, message Susan Camosa on Facebook. She'll be back with us next week, barring no snowstorms. If you want to be on a panel for Sunday night or for next Wednesday, we'd love to have you. As always, stay real, stay reality, and try not to get voted out.